Alright, so picture this. You're planning your next vacation. You're thinking beaches, mountains, maybe a city with a really good food scene. But what if I told you there's a different kind of trip? One where the main attraction isn't an old building or a weirdly shaped rock, but politics. Yes, you heard me. Political tourism. It's like your usual tourism, but instead of collecting souvenirs, you're collecting insights into how a country is run, how its people are trying to build a better future. It's for those of us who hear parliamentary debate and think front row seats, please. Forget escaping the news cycle. This is about diving headfirst into it, but, you know, with a return ticket. Now, if you're intrigued by this idea of political tourism, and why wouldn't you be? It's like a live-action documentary where you can actually ask questions. Then our first destination, our prime case study, is the fascinating nation of Burkina Faso. I know, for some, the first thought might be, where is my atlas? But trust me, this West African country is a place you'll want to get to know. It's not about lounging by a resort pool, unless that pool is metaphorically filled with vibrant political discourse and groundbreaking social initiatives. Burkina Faso is offering a unique kind of adventure, a journey into the heart of a nation actively redefining itself, a real-time experiment in governance and development. So, a little about Burkina Faso, the land of incorruptible people. That name alone tells you something, doesn't it? It sets a pretty high bar. Located in West Africa, it's a nation with a rich history, a tapestry woven with threads of resilience, cultural vibrancy, and a profound spirit of independence. It's a country that has faced its share of challenges, no doubt, like many nations. But what makes it so compelling right now is its current trajectory. It's a place buzzing with the energy of transformation. A living laboratory where ideas about people-centered governance are not just theories on paper, but are being actively tested and implemented. This isn't a history lesson about a revolution long past, it's an invitation to witness one in progress. And this journey, this exploration, is especially for you, the young Africans brimming with ideas, the politicians wondering how to reconnect with your electorate, the technocrats designing the systems of tomorrow, the legal minds shaping justice, and the entrepreneurs building new economies. Burkina Faso offers an unparalleled opportunity to see, learn, and perhaps even be inspired by a real-time example of people-centered transformation. It's a chance to observe how a nation, with its unique context and determined people, is striving to build a more inclusive and equitable future. So if you find this intriguing, do consider subscribing. We humbly invite you to join us as we delve deeper into this remarkable story with respect and a genuine desire to understand. Now, to understand modern Burkina Faso, you absolutely have to talk about a name that echoes through its history like a powerful drumbeat: Thomas Sankara. If you haven't heard of him, think of a figure who was part visionary, part revolutionary, often called Africa's Che Guevara, but uniquely Burkinabe. He was a charismatic leader who, in the 1980s, wasn't just about changing policies, he was about changing mindsets, about igniting a belief in self-reliance and dignity. His ideals were radical, for the time genuine independence, not just on paper but in spirit and practice, a fierce stance against corruption, and an unwavering commitment to social justice for the poorest. He wasn't just a president, he was an idea. Sankara's time in power, though tragically short, was a whirlwind of transformative action. Imagine a leader who says, okay, we're going to vaccinate millions of children in a few weeks. And then they do it. He pushed for massive literacy campaigns because knowledge is power, right? He championed women's rights, banning female genital mutilation and forced marriages, and promoting women in government ideas that were, and in some places still are, incredibly ahead of their time. He initiated land reforms to empower peasants, not big corporations. It was like a national extreme makeover edition, but for society itself, focusing on self-sufficiency and breaking colonial-era dependencies. The impact of these policies was profound, aiming to fundamentally reshape the fabric of Burkinabe society. He famously changed the country's name from Upper Volta, a colonial relic, to Burkina Faso, meaning land of incorruptible people, a daily reminder of the aspiration, a challenge to live up to. This wasn't just about economics or infrastructure. It was about forging a new national identity, instilling a sense of pride and purpose that had been systematically undermined by colonial rule. He wanted Burkinabe people to believe in themselves, in their capacity to build their own future, using their own hands and their own resources. So how does this all connect to Burkina Faso today? Well, Sankara's vision, his ghost if you will, looms large. It's like that one iconic song from your country's past that every new artist either tries to cover or is inevitably compared to. His ideas on sovereignty, on people-led development, on fighting corruption, these are not just historical footnotes, they are active ingredients in the national conversation. The challenge for modern Burkina Faso is how to interpret and apply that legacy in a 21st century context. Is it a rigid blueprint, or a guiding star? That's part of what makes the country so fascinating to observe right now. Alright, let's talk about youth. Not just as a demographic statistic, but as a force. In Burkina Faso, like much of Africa, young people make up a huge portion of the population. We're talking serious numbers, and when you have that many young minds with all their energy, their frustrations and their dreams, they don't just sit around waiting for the future to happen, they grab it by the horns. Youth-led movements in Burkina Faso are not a sideshow, they are increasingly becoming the main event, demanding change, accountability, and a seat at the table. They're tired of the old script and are busy writing a new one. This isn't entirely new, of course. Youth activism has a history in Burkina Faso. Think about the student movements that have, at various points, challenged authority and called for reforms. Post-Sankara, there have been waves of youth engagement, often bubbling up when people felt their voices weren't being heard. Perhaps the most well-known recent example is Le Balai Citoyen, the Citizens' Broom, a grassroots movement heavily driven by young artists and activists that played a crucial role in the 2014 uprising. They literally wanted to sweep out corruption and bad governance. Now that's a powerful metaphor, and a very practical cleaning tool. So what's fueling these movements today? What are these young Burkinabés so passionate about? Well, it's a mix of things, as you'd expect. High on the list is the quest for meaningful employment. Not just any job, but opportunities that offer dignity and a future. They're demanding better governance, more transparency, and an end to corruption, which they rightly see as stealing their future. They want genuine participation in the decisions that affect their lives. It's a deep desire for social justice, for a society where your background doesn't dictate your destiny. Their concerns are both timeless and incredibly urgent in today's context, and how are they making their voices heard? This is where it gets really interesting. Today's youth movements are digitally savvy. They wield smartphones like previous generations wielded pamphlets. Social media platforms, Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, WhatsApp, become virtual town squares, mobilization HQs, and news channels all rolled into one. Online campaigns can go viral in hours, organizing protests, sharing information, and holding leaders accountable in real time. It's activism supercharged by connectivity, allowing them to bypass traditional media gatekeepers and speak directly to the people and to power. It's a whole new playbook for political engagement. Alright, so let's talk about leadership. You know, that thing where someone stands up and says, "Follow me, I've got a plan." Often, that plan is cooked up in some fancy office miles away from the people it's actually going to affect. It's like ordering a pizza for a party, but you're the only one who likes anchovies and pineapple. And everyone else is just staring at you like, "Dude, really?" That's not exactly leadership the people, is it? It's more like leadership the people, sometimes the people. But what if we flip that script entirely, like a pancake that actually lands perfectly? What if leadership wasn't this top-down decree, but something that bubbles up from the ground, organically, like a surprisingly good community garden? Now, in Burkina Faso, there's this fascinating idea, this push towards leadership truly emerging the people. Think about it. Not someone parachuted in with a fancy degree and a PowerPoint presentation they barely understand themselves, but individuals who are already part of the community fabric. These are the folks who know the local challenges because they live them. They experience the water shortages. They see the kids who need better schools. It's like choosing your team captain not because he owns the ball, but because he's the best player and actually listens to the team. This isn't just a quaint notion, it's a fundamental shift in how power is perceived, and more importantly, how it's legitimized. When leaders come from your own ranks, there's an inherent understanding. This concept of from the ground up, leadership challenges the old, often colonial models, where power was a distant, almost mythical entity. You know the type, where the leaders are like celebrities you only see on TV, waving from a motorcade. But if your leader is someone you share a communal meal with, someone whose kids play with your kids, the dynamic changes completely. Suddenly, accountability isn't an abstract concept. It's a conversation you can have at the local market. This proximity breeds a different kind of respect, a different kind of responsibility. It's less about ruling and more about representing, which, let's be honest, is what leadership should have been about all along. It's about shared destiny. And this isn't just about feeling good, like everyone gets a participation trophy. It's about effectiveness. When leaders emerge organically, they bring with them a wealth of local knowledge, a nuanced understanding of the social dynamics, the unspoken rules, the real priorities of the community. They're not trying to implement a one-size-fits-all solution downloaded from a global development seminar. They're crafting solutions that fit the specific context because they are of that context. This fosters a deeper trust, a sense that the person in charge isn't just a bureaucrat, but a genuine advocate, someone who truly gets it because they are, in essence, one of you. That's a powerful foundation. Alright, let's talk about transparency. You know, that thing that's supposed to make governments less like a magician's act. Now you see the money, now you don't. And more like an open kitchen where you can actually see how your meal is being prepared. Because let's face it, when things happen behind closed doors, especially when it involves public money or major decisions, people start to get a little suspicious. And by a little suspicious, I mean they start imagining all sorts of crazy things, probably involving secret societies and maybe even aliens. Okay, maybe not aliens, but definitely a lot of distrust. So how do you actually achieve this magical state of transparency? It's not just about saying we're transparent, and then putting up a vaguely worded mission statement on a dusty website. It's about concrete mechanics, real systems. Think open government initiatives, making parliamentary debates public, publishing government contracts, ensuring that citizens can easily access information about how their taxes are being spent. In a place like Burkina Faso, aspiring to this means actively working to make the inner workings of the state visible and understandable to the average person. It's like giving everyone a backstage pass to the concert of governance, so there are no surprises, or at least fewer unwelcome ones. Technology can be a massive help here, of course. Imagine online portals where you can track budget allocations in real time, or digital platforms for public consultations on new laws. This isn't just about convenience, it's about shifting power. When information is readily available, it empowers citizens to ask informed questions, to scrutinize decisions, and to participate more meaningfully in the democratic process. But it's also a cultural shift. It requires a government willing to be vulnerable, to admit when things aren't perfect, and to engage with criticism constructively. It's moving from a government knows best attitude to a let's figure this out together, and here's all the info approach. And why is this so crucial? Because transparency is the bedrock of trust between the citizens and the state. When people can see what their government is doing, how it's spending their money, and why certain decisions are being made, it demystifies power, it reduces the space for corruption to hide and thrive. It's like turning the lights on in a room, suddenly all the creepy crawlies scurry away. For a nation building its future like Burkina Faso, establishing this trust is not just important, it's absolutely essential. It's the currency that allows governments to implement ambitious plans and ask for collective effort, because people believe in the integrity of the process. So, voting, it's important, right? The cornerstone of democracy, the big day out where you get a sticker and feel like you've done your civic duty. Amazing. But what about the other 1,460 days between elections? Does your participation just end once you've dropped that piece of paper in a box? If democracy is truly about rule by the people, then surely the people should have a bit more to do than just show up every 4 or 5 years. It's like being invited to a massive party, but you're only allowed to choose the music for the first 5 minutes. What about the rest of the party, huh? This is where the idea of moving beyond the ballot box comes in, particularly in a place like Burkina Faso that's exploring new models of governance. It's about creating ongoing, meaningful avenues for citizen engagement in the everyday business of running the country. Think about community councils where local residents have a real say in local decisions, not just advisory powers but actual decision-making roles. Or participatory budgeting, where citizens directly decide how a portion of the public funds will be spent in their area. Imagine that. You get to help decide if the money goes to a new park, better streetlights, or a giant statue of a beloved local goat. Okay, maybe not the goat. These new forms of participation are designed to empower voices that might traditionally be drowned out in the usual political scrum. It's not just about the loudest person in the room or the one with the most connections. It's about creating structures where everyone, from the young student to the elderly farmer, from the woman running a small business to the artisan, feels they can contribute, and that their contribution matters. This could involve citizen assemblies randomly selected to deliberate on specific policy issues, bringing a cross-section of society into the heart of policy formation. It's about making governance a continuous dialogue, a collaborative project, rather than a periodic performance. The beauty of these approaches is that they foster a deeper sense of ownership and responsibility among citizens. When you've had a hand in shaping a decision, you're more likely to support its implementation and to hold the authorities accountable for its success. It also makes policies more relevant and effective, because they're being co-created with the people who will be most affected by them. It's moving away from a system where citizens are passive consumers of government services, to one where they are active co-producers of public good. This is about enriching democracy, making it a lived experience, not just an occasional ritual. Alright, let's talk about something shiny: gold and zinc and manganese, and a whole lot of other stuff buried under Burkina Faso. Now, a lot of countries have resources, right? But sometimes it feels like those resources are more of a curse than a blessing. You dig it up, a few people get very rich, and everyone else is left wondering, hey, wasn't that stuff? It's like finding a $100 bill on the street, but then some guy in a fancy suit swoops in, grabs it, gives you a high five, and buys a yacht. You're left with a sore palm and a lot of questions. Burkina Faso is trying to flip that script, and a lot of that thinking goes way back. You see, Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary leader, he had this radical idea. And by radical, I mean it actually made sense for the people. He looked at the ground beneath their feet and said, hold on a second. If this wealth comes from our land, shouldn't it benefit people? Groundbreaking, I know. He pushed for national control over resources, ensuring that the profits weren't just siphoned off by foreign companies, leaving the country with a big hole in the ground and an even bigger hole in its budget. It was about using that wealth to build schools, hospitals, and a future. It's like your mom telling you to eat your vegetables because they're good for you, except the vegetables are gold mines and good for you means national development. Of course, after Sankara, things got a little complicated. The allure of quick cash from international mining giants is strong, you know? It's like that one friend who keeps telling you about their amazing new crypto investment. Sounds great, until it's not. There were pressures, deals that maybe weren't so great for the average Burkinabe, and the whole resource curse narrative started to feel a bit too real. It's easy to fall back into old patterns where the wealth flows out and the development stays stubbornly stagnant. The challenge is always to remember who the resources are really for. Is it for a multinational corporation's shareholders, or for the kid in a village who needs a textbook? But here's the hopeful part. Burkina Faso today is trying to recapture that Sankara spirit. There's a renewed focus on making sure mining benefits local communities, that environmental standards are more than just suggestions on a piece of paper, and that the deals struck are fair. It's not just about the extraction of minerals, it's about the construction of a nation. It's about saying, yes, we have gold, but our real treasure is our people, and this gold is going to work for them. It's a tough road, full of powerful interests and complex negotiations, but the goal is clear. Turn that underground shine into a brighter future above ground. Section 2. Rewriting the rules. Fairer deals for national gain. Okay, so you've got some money coming in from those shiny minerals. What's one of the first things a developing nation needs? Roads. And I'm not just talking about a smooth ride for your presidential convoy. I'm talking about the arteries of a nation. Roads connect farmers to markets, students to schools, patients to hospitals. They connect remote villages to the wider world, fostering a sense of national unity. You can have the best mangoes in the world, but if you can't get them from your farm to the city before they turn into mango mush, you're just a guy with a lot of mushy mangoes, and nobody wants that. For a long time in Burkina Faso, like in many parts of Africa, the road network was, let's say, an adventure. Getting from point A to point B could feel like an off-road rally, even if you were on what was technically called a road. This didn't just make travel uncomfortable, it hampered economic development. It increased the cost of goods, made it difficult for businesses to expand, and isolated entire communities. Imagine trying to run a delivery service where your main obstacles are potholes the size of small swimming pools. It's a logistical nightmare, and it holds everyone back. But there's been a real push, a significant investment in changing that narrative. They're building new roads, paving old ones, and rehabilitating crucial transport corridors. We're talking about linking rural agricultural areas with urban consumer centers and connecting Burkina Faso with its neighbors to boost regional trade. Suddenly that cousin in the village that felt like they lived on another continent, now they're just a few hours away. This isn't just about convenience, it's about economic integration, about making the country smaller in travel time but bigger in opportunity. It's like upgrading from dial-up internet to fiber optic. Everything just flows better. And the ripple effects are huge. When transport costs go down, the price of food and other essential goods can stabilize. When it's easier to get to a clinic, health outcomes improve. When businesses can reliably move their products, they can grow and create more jobs. It's a foundational investment. You're not just laying down asphalt or railway tracks, you're laying down the groundwork for a more dynamic and prosperous society. It's the kind of infrastructure that doesn't just support the economy, it actively drives it forward, 1 kilometer at a time. Alright, infrastructure is looking good, people have water, maybe even some electricity. What's next on the nation-building checklist? Education. Because you can build all the roads you want, but if nobody knows how to read the road signs, or design the next generation of even better roads, you're going to hit a dead end pretty quickly. Thomas Sankara was huge on this. He launched massive literacy campaigns because he understood a fundamental truth. An educated populace is an empowered populace. You can't build a self-reliant nation with people who can't read, write, or critically engage with the world around them. It's like trying to assemble IKEA furniture without the instruction manual. Possible, but incredibly frustrating and likely to end in disaster. For a long time, access to basic education in Burkina Faso faced serious hurdles. We're talking low enrollment rates, especially for girls, and in those hard-to-reach rural areas, there just weren't enough schools, and even when there were schools, there weren't enough trained teachers. For many children, school wasn't just a long walk away, it felt like it was in a different galaxy. This isn't just a missed opportunity for individual children, it's a massive loss of potential for the entire country. Every child not in school is a potential doctor, engineer, entrepreneur, or leader whose talents go untapped. But there's been a real concerted effort to change this picture. More schools are being built, especially in underserved areas. There are drives to recruit and train more teachers, because a school without a good teacher is just a building. And they're getting creative with incentives to boost attendance and keep kids in school. Things like school canteen programs, providing a daily meal, which can be a huge help for families struggling with food security, or providing free textbooks and school supplies. It's about removing the barriers, making school not just accessible, but also attractive. It's like offering free Wi-Fi at a coffee shop. Suddenly everyone wants to be there. And the impact is becoming visible. Literacy rates are climbing. More children are completing primary education, getting that crucial foundation in reading, writing, and arithmetic. This isn't just about numbers on a chart. It's about unlocking human potential on a massive scale. It's about giving every child the tools they need to dream bigger, to aim higher, and to contribute to building a brighter future for themselves and their country. Each new classroom, each newly literate child is a seed of progress being planted. Alright, so let's talk health. What good is a revolution if you can't even get a plaster when you stub your toe? In Burkina Faso, getting decent healthcare was like trying to find a Wi-Fi signal in the middle of nowhere. The nearest clinic could be a day's trek away. So, the folks in charge said, this needs to change. Drastically. Think new clinics and mobile health units, doctors on wheels. Investing in community health workers, often local women trained to handle the basics. The numbers are starting to sing a hopeful tune. Fewer kids getting seriously ill from preventable diseases. It's like turning a giant ship, but every degree means countless lives improved. Okay, so people are getting healthier, which is fantastic. But what happens when they're feeling good and ready to take on the world? That's where entrepreneurship comes in. A healthy population needs opportunities to channel that energy and creativity. There's a shift happening in Burkina Faso, a real push to foster a culture of innovation, encouraging people, especially young people, to think outside the box, to see not just obstacles but opportunities for new businesses and solutions. It's about nurturing that spark, that what-if moment that can lead to something amazing. So there you have it, a whirlwind tour through Burkina Faso, a nation that's not just surviving but actively, passionately writing its own story. From the ideals of Thomas Sankara to youth-led movements demanding change. Leadership springs from the grassroots, reflecting the true will of the people, exploring how a country manages its wealth, invests in health and skills, and fosters enterprise. Thank you for coming along on this incredible narrative of resilience and hope. Burkina Faso's story is a living, evolving drama full of triumphs and ongoing challenges. Like your favorite Netflix series, there's more to come with cliffhangers and plot twists. Lessons about inclusive development and empowering communities resonate far beyond its borders. For any nation, any community who believe a better way is possible. It's an ongoing experiment in real time, a testament to human potential. Political tourism in Burkina Faso, witnessing change responsibly and respectfully. Not like staring at animals in a zoo or awkward celebrity home tours. Engage with a reality richer and more inspiring than any headline. See firsthand the human spirit at work, the debates, the small businesses, the schools. An invitation to engage with a reality that's often much richer and more nuanced. If this journey sparked something in you, hit that subscribe button. Access to good information and diverse perspectives is priceless. Give this video a thumbs up if it made you see something in a new light. Share it with your friends, your family, that one uncle who only talks about the weather. Drop a comment below. What resonated with you? What questions do you have? Your engagement helps these stories reach wider audiences. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Stay curious, stay engaged.